Hope Channel, changing lives.
And welcome to the Law Chambers, where legal matters are discussed from a Christian perspective. I am Anita Delight, your usual hostess, and so far we've been doing question and answers. Moving forward, we'll be discussing businesses. So you want to start a business, you're interested in starting your own business. You've started your business. Are there some legal things you're supposed to do? Are there some hurdles you're supposed to cross? Are there some things you're supposed to put in place to ensure that your business is lawfully grounded? Because all things being equal, if it's not, it can be caught up in a lot of webs. So just relax, sit back, and let's discuss this very, very important question. If you have any questions at all, you can send a message or you can call 0559 680066. 0559 680066. So today we are going to discuss starting a business, the legal beginnings. So now you want to start a business. How do you go about it? That's what we're going to discuss today. And I have with me two very important people who are going to help break everything down for us to understand and appreciate very well. So I have Madam Matilda Osei. Madam Matilda Osei is Head of Client Service at the Office of the Registrar of Companies. She's also the Chief Company Inspector at the Office of the Registrar of Companies. Tilly is good, right?
Yes.
Because, but why Tilly? Matilda.
Yes,
Tilly.
that's the short form
Of Matilda.
Yes, of Matilda.
Wow.
We draw more from the T going.
Than the other.
Yes.
Very, very important. So she is the right person to represent us here. She's from the Office of the Registrar of Companies, and she's the Head of Client Service. So if you go there, anyone you have to talk to, she's the right person to talk to. And then I have with me a lawyer. He's a founder and managing partner of Sustinary. Maboniye.
Yes.
Hey, what's the meaning?
It's a Latin word for sustainable.
Hey, Sustinary Attorneys, PREC. He's currently the Vice President, Legal and Strategy for Ghana FinTech and Payment Association. He is known as a problem solver and the Chief Executive Officer. That's a Chief Farmer. What does that mean?
I have interest in agric as well, so I do some bit of farming.
And Lord, and fiscal members. I don't know the discussion is that.
You need to be entrepreneurial.
You see that thing, and that is what we are trying to say here today. That one source of income, or a lawyer has got but one source of income is not good enough. You have to diversify. How do you go about it if you want to start? So let me start with Tilly. Tilly, so let's generally discuss, when we talk about business, what does business mean?
Yeah, thank you to your viewers. Let me say that now the Office of the Registrar of Companies has been established and it has come to stay. The launching was done, I think, 22nd July 2002 at Kempinski. So now, yes, Kempinski. So now, anything concerning businesses registration from its birth to its liquidation is done under the Office of the Registrar of Companies and not Registrar General's Department. Registrar General Department is still there for marriages, both a special license and then the other forms are available. We also handle pension gratuities of public servants, and then they do intellectual properties, i.e. Patents, trademark, and industrial designs. So Registrar General is handling those things, whilst the Office of the Registrar handle companies and then its processes and all that. So when we say business, it's organized economic activity that deals with goods and services with consideration in mind and also with the aim of making profits, basically. So anybody who have the means of doing business, it means that the person want to upgrade his financial mandate and also circumventing in the proper way to enlarge his business or to move forward. So basically, that is business. And then anybody, Section 12 of the Companies Act states that once you are 18 years, you can have your company registered by law.
Okay, so if you're below the age of 18, you're a minor,
you
can't.
It used to be 21, even from the Interpretation Act. It used to be 21 years. But now, with the Act 992, there's a modification. So once you are 18, you can have your company. And with sound mind, it's very, very cogent. Yes. I mean, you should have your business plans and all that, because it's business and law. So you should have your business plan. You should know what you're about, where you're going to get your funding, and then also, you should also have strong shock observers. Because, I mean, with business, anything can happen. Sometimes we think, oh, I start business, it's straight, but sometimes it's not like that.
Thank you so much. So Richard, do we have types of businesses? What are the types? And if you have anything to add to it?
What rather we have are the business forms, because the kind of registrations that happen at the Registrar General's Department, at the Office of the Registrar of Companies, are vehicles that are provided by law for which you implement your business idea. So under our laws in Ghana, 4 basic type of vehicles have been provided. So there is one vehicle generally referred to as a sole proprietorship, where under the Business Name Registration Act, you go to the Office of the Registrar of Companies and you register your business name under the Act to assume your business nature to run as a sole proprietor. Now, underlining that registration is the fact that there is no separate distinction between the owner and the business. So therefore, the liabilities of the business are personal to the business owner. Moving on, the law also provides for what we call partnerships, where 2 and no more than 20 people can come together to incorporate a partnership. And in that as well, the liability is now spread among the partners of the partnership. So while maybe under the sole proprietorship, the liability is singular, under the partnership, it becomes a shared liability. And that as well is not distinct from the owners. So whatever happens to the business happens to the owners.
Sorry, we say distinct. I want you to explain. So it means that is very clear. If there should be a liability, there should...
Yeah, so in ordinary terms, what it means is that if the business incur losses, they are your personal losses. So you don't run a business and come and say, it is a business that has incurred a loss, go and look for the business. You as the owner of the business is still responsible. So that is the case in the sole proprietor and then the partnership. Then when you come under the Companies Act, 2 forms for profit companies has also been provided for. There is one that is company limited by shares, and then there is an unlimited liability company. Now, the difference between the 2 is that in the sense of a company limited by shares, what we call the limited liability company, the liabilities of the company, meaning the debts, the losses, and then the general issues of expense payments of the company are limited to the resources of the company. Because the law recognizes that when you incorporate such companies, the company assumes a distinct personality from the owners. So that is why today I was coming here, I read some Facebook posts by Nam1 saying that he never dealt with anybody personally, that people dealt with Men's Gold. So they should go and look for Men's Gold. The only reason why Nam1 could say that is because he incorporated Men's Gold as a company limited by shares. So therefore, the liabilities and the losses of Men's Gold are the problems of Men's Gold, not the owners personally. And then in the unlimited liability instance, it's also a company, but that one, the owners are also personally liable for the liabilities of the company. So those are the 4 main business forms that any business owner or anyone who has a business idea can register or incorporate as a vehicle to give an identity to the business idea or product or service that a person wants to come to market with.
Okay, so because you mentioned one, let me push it a little. Let me push it a little bit. So what is vehicle is limited to the company, the losses and the liabilities, but the exceptions, right?
Yeah, there are. The law generally provides that in the first instance, the owners and the directors of the company would have done right by themselves in managing the company. So ordinarily, they are not responsible for any resulting debt of the company. But however, the lawmaker and the courts over the period have also looked at it and considered circumstances under which there will be clear evidence of the company being used as a vehicle to perpetrate fraud. So what we call in law lifting the veil will now be done to now go and look for the directors and the owners behind the company. Because sometimes the temptation is that because companies are said to have a personal legal personality at incorporation, people do not pay attention to their fiduciary responsibilities they have towards the managing of the company and use the company as a vehicle to do all sorts of things. So in very limited circumstances where, for instance, it can be proven that the directors or the owners engage in fraudulent activities in managing the affairs of the company, particularly for their own personal benefit, where the company has just become a vehicle they use. Yes, even though there is that general exception that the company is separate from the owner, there will be a lifting of the veil and then we'll go after the owners.
Thank you so much. So Cindy, let me come. So I'm a lay person. I want to start a business. Help me through it.
Okay, I'll add something small to what Richard said. We have another now, under Section 21 of the Companies Act, the suffixes is very, very important. Now, when you are registering a company, you need to add the ending. Whether you are a limited liability company, you add it. If you are a non-governmental NGO, limited by guarantee, you have to add, it's mandatory. You add it. If you're a public company is one of the vehicles you can also use, because that one you can make invitation to the general public. So it makes the one company, a little dicey, because you have to get your prospectus, go to Securities and Exchange Commission to make sure that your prospectus are in safe hands. They've gone through the rudiments, and then you file with us before you can even become a public company to invite people. And then I'll add up the external companies. There are companies that are registered in other jurisdictions, and they want to have a branch or a liaison office in Ghana. It's accepted, whereby you bring your memorandum and article of association, and then you notarize the document, and a power of attorney is given to the local manager. It's also another form of registration. So it means they keep the same name, like you want to have an airline, let's say Emirates. They don't want to change their colors. They want the same name, the same identity, everything. They just register a branch in Ghana. It's also a form of the registration. And then with the partnership, as he said, you need to have a partnership agreement between the partners, because that is the only registration that comes with the partners' names. That is the only registration. Apart from that, you don't get the personal names of the partners on the certificate. And in case of any calamity or eventuality, then you inform us and prepare another partnership agreement so that we issue a new certificate to show the new partners. So with partnership, if we agree, I agree with Richard, that our branch is High Street Ghana Commercial Bank. There is no way he can open account at Mamobi. We state it in the agreement. So with partnership, normally the professionals like it, the chartered accountants, the lawyers, because they know what they want and it's documented, and they execute the document at the Land Commission Valuation Division, the Valuation Division. So this is what I want to add. Yes, so what you said. You said, can any lay person...
So I'm a lay person. I want to register my company.
Yes.
Please take me through.
Okay. So it depends on the types that we've mentioned. So you have to have in mind the one you want to do. If it's some small business you are starting, I will advise that you move slowly. One advantage is that when you're a child, I always use the life of human being as a company. So if you're a child, you can grow. you see people come into our office and then quickly they want to register limited liability. Fine. Then within a year or two, then they come. I don't like it again. I want to close it. So it's like a child who wants to grow. If you're a sole proprietorship, you can grow. We call something to acquire and take over. With the same name, we register for you. Just that you move from the Act 151 to the Act 992. You pay the same fee and you also renew. But the goodwill would have been there with the same name. So you can continue by registering that. And then, but if it's a limited liability, you've registered and you want to close it, it means it's like a grown-up. You have to die for you to be giving birth again. So you have to close it so that the name comes to the public domain, and then you come, one of you can, in writing, can come and register as a sole proprietorship. So it's gradual for you to know what you want to do and know the exact registration. So if you know, then basically you need to have a name, about 3 names on a scale of preference. It's advisable. Somebody will come, you say Adom Enterprise. As soon as you say Adom, they say Adoms. We don't want that kind of name. It gives us problems. We want you to have distinct names on the scale of preference. So we do the search. You can even do it on your own. And then 3 names, and the one that is available. The name should not be misleading. It should not be sound like Coco, C-O-C-O. And then Coco, K-O-K-O. As in sound, we don't also allow that. And then it should not be undesirable. Some words are not allowed. And then also, if it's in a language that we don't understand, you must explain to the registrar. So besides the name, you need the location of the business, where the business will be located. Sometimes we have the principal place of business being separate from the registered office. Let's say Anglo Gold Ashanti. The principal place of business is at Obuasi. The registered office is at a golf house, a gold house. So you realize that they are not at the same place. So you let us know if it's that case. And then some even have where their register of members is kept. That can also, in case of fire or something, that can also be a. So the forms, you know, categorizes all this. And then we also need your digital address. The era in which we are in now is mandatory that you give us a digital, genuine digital address. And then the nature of business. This Act 992 says that you can do business without stating the nature of business. But my boss keep on saying that how will foreigners pay the stamp duty? Because if you're a foreigner, you don't pay like indigenous person. So we will want you to let us know the area you are operating. So you need to let us know. And then the people involved, this is sole proprietorship, your loan. And then you need the TIN. For now, we've not changed our forms to seal the Ghana card, but that's what we take. But if you have the TIN, we take your TIN. When we enter the TIN, it pulls out your data. So once you are giving us the TIN, you have to make sure that the TIN is accurate. Somebody will mention P00. As soon as you change 10 to read 6 or 8, know that the document will come and it will bear somebody's particulars. So it's important you get your accurate TIN. And then you state whether you are married, and then your residential, the person registering your residential. And then the declaration is very, very important to us. If it's a jurat, it means somebody has read it to you and you've understood.
What does jurat mean?
Jurat is for illiterate, those who cannot read and write. So sometimes it's not just me reading to you, but you comprehending it before affixing your rights on print. It's very, very important. Sometimes they will tell you that they read it to me, mantias yet. So if you read it and the person doesn't understand, it's zero work done. So we need to also take care of that. And then now we also have the statutory declaration because of the Act 992. So you tell us that you've not involved in crime for the last 5 years, you are of sound mind, you've not arms, you know, those kind of things. So you'll be taken. You'll be taken. Whatever you tell us, we take it like that. Should in case you are caught, that one, the law will deal with you. And then letter of consent. So now you want to be a director in a company. Formerly, it wasn't like that. With this new act, consent letter, you attach it straight away. At the incipient stages, we want to see that you're giving your consent to be a director or the company secretary. You yourself have declared. And then also, if it's a limited liability, now I've moved from so. If it's a limited liability, then we need to know who will be the company secretary. The company secretary under section 211 let you know where you fall. Are you a lawyer? Are you company trainee? Are you a chartered accountant? You should be responsible somewhere. And then the section 212 brings out your duty So not just being a company secretary, but you have to report to the board if there are any legislation changes, whatever it is. As a company secretary, the mandate is on you to know the law and then explain it to the company people. And then besides that, we come to the shareholders. People always have interest in company. That is why they put their money into it. So you let us know who are the shareholders. And then the capital, the minimum stated capital is 500 Ghana. We pay stamp duty of 1%. It used to be 0.5, but from 2nd January, we reviewed the fees and it's 1.5%. Besides, you also need an auditor. And now, with our new system, if the auditor is not in good standing, the system will gradually reject it. So as an auditor, you also have to make sure that you yourself, you are in good standing before somebody can use you as his company auditor. So basically, these are the few things that you need to have even before you complete our registration forms. And now there is a new way or a new form called beneficial ownership. It means if there is a company, we want to see the actual people who have substantial control, ultimate control in the company. So, and it have to be Schedule 1 of the companies that say that it have to be a human being. So we don't want you to say that a company is behind. So you have to fill the beneficial ownership. You have BO1 for the company, BO2 for individuals, BO3 for public companies, and then state institution BO4. So now if you are registering, you need to have all this information in mind. So when you start filling the form, there wouldn't be any issue as far as the forms.
That's a lot of information.
Yes. There are a lot that people don't know nowadays.
And with all this information, nothing has been equal. Can an individual really do it on their own?
Oh. If you want to, once you understand it, you can do it. Because our forms are easy. I didn't bring some. We have inscriptions at the right-hand side of the form. We have a checklist. So as you are filling section A, name, what it means by everything is at the right-hand side of the form. I mean our new forms. And then at the end of the day, we tell you, we go through the checklist. Just like visa forms. You see the way we open our eyes when we are doing it. We have to do it for our own companies too. And then we also have to give the accurate information. You know, we like, Fabia Shahomami. And now we are going electronic. So if you do Fabia Shahomami, you pay for it as time goes on. So make sure, even if the Shahomama, make sure if you can read, then I would Shahono. You know, like my uncle in those days, he will ask you to write a letter for him because he can't read. Then when you write, he will tell you, put it down. Then when another person, will see, can I deal with mommy? So he wants to see that what he told you, that is what you've put there. You can't do that because documents are documented and they are there. Once it's documented, 200 years, it will be there. So we need to be careful.
Is there an office within your office where you help people with registration?
Oh yes, we have inquiries, help desks. My office is there. I mean, about the front office is just there to assist people. It's a one-stop center. Anybody can assist you. And
so are you saying therefore that if someone wants to, Richard, it still said lawyers here to register a company?
Oh, I haven't said that.
I'm putting it to him.
No, the essence of a lawyer in all this process is first of all to also explain the ramifications. What are the consequences of the type of business you want to incorporate or register? And then don't forget, for every registration you do, there are statutory obligations you must comply with. So like Tilly was saying, that is why the law requires certain class of persons to act as secretaries for companies to have the responsibility to ensure that the companies are in compliance with the law. So the role of a lawyer is technically to ensure that you start on the right note, you have a clear understanding of which type of business form you should be choosing, what the obligations are, how you're going to perform those obligations, what the consequences will be if you fail to perform the obligation. Because Tilly will acknowledge over the period, within the last 2 or 3 years, the registrar has had cause to delete some companies for failing to comply with the annual filings and the annual returns and updating their records with the Registrar General's Department. I'm sure if those companies have contacted lawyers as part of the process, they will have understood that it's not just to register, dump your certificate and go and do business. I was surprised. We somewhere last year did a training for entrepreneurs in Accra, Kumasi. And in our pre-training survey, almost 90% of people who have registered business have never been to the Registrar General's office after they registered their business. So it tells you the level of non-compliance in respect of how businesses are supposed to be managed and their regulatory regime. So the lawyer's role is very critical in that process in terms of helping you make the right choices and also to comply ultimately.
So let's look at associations. Okay, so you have a law firm. Okay, so how did you go about it? Because obviously all these been equal. We are looking at General Legal Counsel, but do we also look at the Office of the Registrar of Companies?
Okay, so now let me take it from specialized industries.
Yes.
Because largely that's what law firms are.
Yes.
Now, the decision as to the type of business form to register sometimes is also influenced by the specialized industry in which you want to operate. So for lawyers, the regulation is that you cannot limit your liability because we are professionals. And once we provide professional services, our liabilities go beyond the services we provide to our personality. So largely you see lawyers registering sole proprietors, partnerships. Where you want to register it as a company, then it must become an unlimited liability company. So the PURC you see by our name means that we are a private unlimited company. So we have a business form which is a company. Other law firms are partnerships, others are sole proprietors. But that is not because we have decided that is what we want to do. Because of the legal requirements from GLC, that before you can, the General Legal Counsel, before you can be given a license as a law firm, these are the nature of business forms you have. If you look at also, for instance, specialized industries like banking, so today Bank of Ghana licensing financial technology companies, fintech companies. So there's a clear provision on the business form that they will license. So if you go and register, for instance, a sole proprietor, and you go to Bank of Ghana for license, you're not going to get it because the requirement says that it should be a limited liability company. So to a large extent, for associations, for specialized industry, the laws that regulate those specialized industry also makes provision for the type of company you should register. So even before going to the Office of the Registrar of Companies, you need to know what those regulations are so that when you go, you register the right type of business vehicle so that you can be able to operate your business.
Okay. Tilly, there's a question here. Someone sent me the question earlier, and the question is saying that I am a Ghanaian, but I'm living outside of Ghana, and I want to open a business here. I have dual citizenship. So how are you going to look at this? Is this person going to be looked at as a foreigner, as a GIPC, or you're going to look at the person as a Ghanaian, whether the person can come to you? Okay.
So before I forget,
yes.
Rich said we have deleted. We haven't yet. In fact, we haven't strike any name, but you realize that our database, especially the RGD Pro, is choked with companies that are not active. And we have it in mind, but for now, we've not actually
started.
We have not actually started.
But they intend to do, so hurry up.
Yes. Once we said that people should come and file their returns, you see them, they shouldn't wait. Because after the first 18 months as a limited liability, you need to file your return. You need to have your AGM. That's what the law says. Or the Registrar Somutu will compel you to do that. And if it's sole proprietorship, annual renewal, it's even 60 cedis for sole, and then partnership, limited liability, 90 cedis. But you need your financial statements from your auditors anyway. So this person who have dual citizenship, which one does he himself want to come under?
Okay, so it's other.
Yes, so if he is coming as a Ghanaian, because he have both, he should let us know if he's coming as a Ghanaian. Then when he's filling for his TIN, you see, now before you register, you need the TIN. We'll soon change it to the Ghana card. We use the Ghana card to get the TIN. So you will have to state if you are a Ghanaian, if you are using your Ghana passports. So he has to know if he's also coming as a foreigner. Then when he's filling his form, he should state that he want to, under the business, he want to, because you can't come as Ghanaian stroke foreigner. It's not allowed. So he needs to know the umbrella which he is coming under. Then besides that, if he is coming as a foreigner and he's doing trading, then Section 28 of the GIPC Act says that you need the minimum of $1 million. That is Ghanaian company with foreign owned, solely owned. If he's doing it with another partner who is a Ghanaian, then likewise same, he needs 90% of the equity, and then the 10% will be for the Ghanaian, give them the wider quota. If it's services, we have services with Ghanaian, that is $200,000. Let's say consultancy, education, construction. He will have to have, his equity of $200,000 will represent 90%. And then the 10%, which we don't know, will be for the Ghanaian. If you want to own the shares solely, then it's $500,000. And in all this, we don't take the $1 million. We take the stamp duty of 1%. So when you get to GIPC, you can either do it, file a form called Form 6, to pay either in kind. So let's say you brought excavators, about 4. You need to show the way bill. And then you capture it. Like, we have to see the way bill before you fill the Form 6. Nowadays, people don't do it as those days. You have to fill it and attach. And then we will increase the equity for you in kind, and then give you document for you to send to GIPC. But if he's coming as a Ghanaian, then the indigenous companies, the minimum equity is 500 Ghanas. If it's not a specialized kind of like Forest Bureau bank, and even if it's, you are going to Bank of Ghana, they have the tier 1 registration, so they do the SUSU, money lending, so those ones, they have the certificate they give them. But if you are actually doing banking, then it's a different story altogether. Now, commencement has been abolished, but in those days, we would have legalized you, and then when we give you the certificate of incorporation, you go to, let's say, if you are selling ammunitions or security, not securities, you have to go to Ministry of Interior. Now you have to go, but you don't need to go for the, you don't need to have our incorporation to go before you commence. But formally, you have to go to Bank of Ghana, get your permits before you come, and then we commence. But now that the commencement has been abolished, we incorporate you, and then you have to go to the specialized agency to get the approval, whether it's pharmacy, council, Ministry of. You realize that everything you need to go somewhere, so you need to proceed from there.
And that's a long process.
It's not long, but if you are dealing with products, you need to go to Food and Drugs Board once you've registered, because they need to know the content. What is there? By chemists have to see what you are giving to us for our hair, for our, our mouth, whatever it is. There have to be another authority.
In each process, someone wants to take something.
Well, the fees, because what I know
apart
with Food and Drugs Board, you have the right to demand your receipts. Yes, because the fees are there. We used to have it in front of our office that all money should be paid at the bank. But we don't even see. So
and sometimes the person who's supposed to do the work is not ready to do the work unless you pay.
That's what I'm saying, that now the information is out there. We say pay at the bank. Our problem is that we don't have time. So if you are going to law firm, they will do it for you. You won't go up and down. You want your comfort. If you are coming to us, then you should be ready to follow the rules. Get a ticket. We have the queue management machine at the entrance. Pick a ticket. Go queue. At least you should sacrifice that. I'm going to do this, and it will take me half a day. I mean, everything that even women, our salon, look at the way we spend time. But when it comes to registration, they'll complain. If you want visa, do you know that the time people go and queue at the American embassy? But we don't complain. When it comes to business, then we complain. Because
we're thinking that we should be able to do a lot of these things online. I don't need to really
so we have the dual processes, the hybrid. You can be a portal account user and register any of the entities we mentioned, just that you have to fill it accurately. Gradual now, renewals, you can dial, I think it's *222 and renew at the comfort of your home. Gradually, we are getting there. We are designing more things. We want to change our system to go to the clouds, and then even offer VIP services at our office. Yes.
You want extra cash?
Yes, so like if Richard comes, he's a busy person. So Richard will charge his clients. Richard will sit down, we give him some tea,
some hot tea,
some hot tea, whilst he waits, and then within 24 hours to 48 hours maximum. But the whole thing is that you should get your document a day. So we've not started yet because my boss wants to make sure that everything is right. So that when you pay that extra, and we are going to charge, when you pay for that VIP, you sit down, you get your document, you go. Everything is pa. Yes, and then you
so let's say I come to the office, I'm trying to register, and someone wants to take something from me. I don't want to pay, but the person is delaying. Is there a way I can report?
You need to report.
Why?
That is, no, if you're not, I mean, you are not supposed to do that. So if you're not comfortable, you need to report.
To who?
So you can report to the client service office. I mean, people report all the time, and then the matter will be taken up. Yes.
And they will be ready to take their colleagues up on. You're not like the police.
No. Once, no, we have it all the time. People report people. Sometimes Guru, they mix, they come. People just patronize our service as if they are staff. You need to report whether a staff or an intruder or whatever. You need to report. Once you are not comfortable and you know the right thing, you need to report. Okay,
so Richard, if someone has gone to the office of the Registrar of Companies, registration has commenced, the person and the person is told by someone that, something, why don't you relax a bit? Don't do your registration yet. Be sure that your company will survive. So do your work under the carpet, So you have that 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. When you realize that your business is doing well, then you go and register. What's your take on it?
Okay, now, if you look at the various acts that regulate business registrations, each of them has a time period within which you can commence an activity before you register the business. So for instance, if you see the Business Name Registration Act, which is used for the sole proprietorship, you have a 14-day period by which you can trade under a design name. So it means that you would have checked that the name is available and is a name you have either reserved or is a name nobody will use, that when you are ready to register, that name is available for you. So you can start trading with that name, but within 14 days after you started trading, you need to go and register that name. If you don't do so, what it means is that you'll be running an illegal activity. That business name will not be recognized under law. But however, when it comes to companies, that exception has not been provided. Even though there is a recognition for pre-incorporation contracts that the company can rectify after the registration. But the Act 992 does not say that you have a time period within which you can run your activities as a company, and then subsequently, when you think your idea is perfected, come and register it. So rather, the advice will be that if you want to pilot an idea, you could still register a business to be able to do that. And then the advice, which will be a good one to take, will be, as Tilly said earlier, start small. Register a sole proprietorship, which is a business name. Start with the idea, use that period to test the idea, because the obligations you have under a sole proprietorship are very limited. You don't need 2 directors, you don't need a secretary. You are ready to go. So you are ready to go. So do that, but that does not prevent you from engaging others to work for you. So that's the distinction. The only thing is that those other people cannot be recognized as officers of the company. So it's only you. So once you do that, over a period, and you think the business has grown, or it's a viable idea that you want to scale up or expand, then you will look for a more formalized business form. Because sometimes the business form also helps you in attracting funding. Because if you go, for instance, to a bank and you are a sole proprietor, the risk with your business is that the day you die, the business is technically considered as dead, because it's tied to your life as the owner. So banks may not be ready to give you money. Investors will not be ready to give you money. But if you have a company limited by shares, which is a limited liability company, banks may be ready to give you money, because one of the greatest features of those companies is a perpetual existence feature. So it is expected that that company will continue to exist despite the owner dying. New owners will come, and then the vehicle which is formed will continue in perpetuity until you decide to go through the liquidation processes. So it is important that if you are not sure and you want to try it and see whether it will work, you still must register, but the form then must be the one that can limit your responsibilities as a business owner.
Richard, realistically, we have a lot of people doing business and haven't registered. Realistically, in Ghana, there are lots of people like that. Obviously, from the definition, the watch seller and my judge, everyone is doing some business.
Okay. So if you read the Business Name Registration Act carefully, you will see that where you do business in your name as a person, there's no requirement on you to come and register it. So the watch seller who is doing business in her name,
in her name, like Hajia's
Wache, she's doing it in her name. It's Hajia. Maybe her name is truly Hajia. So the law doesn't require her to come and register that business. So if I, Richard Unekweku, have set up a Wache joint and I call it Richard Unekweku's Wache, it's in my name. I'm doing it in my name because the law doesn't require me to come and register it as another. I cannot go and register Richard Unekweku as a sole proprietorship. So for those one, even though most of them are doing it not recognizing that they are falling within the exceptions in the law, they may be legally permissible businesses that they are running because they are running it in their name. Where the challenge is where you want to give it a unique name. To say, for instance, that Hajia Ventures or Hajia Enterprise or something. By that, it presupposes that you have registered the company. So if you have not and you are using some of those names to represent your business, then you are in default of the regulation. And there are sanctions provided under the law for dealing with those people, including sending people to prison. I'm sure Insawan would have been full to capacity if we want to enforce that. Yeah.
So Tilly, please add up to it for me. So,
we all know that formalizing your business is the ideal thing. He has already said a lot and I wouldn't go there. When you register, you get recognition. You are not known until you come to the limelight. Even if you want to do adverts, you want to get a loan, you want to tender for business, who will give you business without identity? So when you register, if it's a limited liability, you can sue and be sued. I mean, you are recognized, and you can use that, as he said, to get a loan and to also market yourself and branding. So it's important that the informal sector also come on board. I was handling this informal sector thing. So you realize that during COVID, when they said they wanted to give some loans, you saw the way people rushed to our office because they used the tin. And then everybody wanted to register because they wanted the money. So they realized that they didn't have recognition. So when you register, typically of us will wait when they're about traveling. then they even want you to backdate it. But we can't backdate it because we don't know you. We only know you. And even with our certificate numbers, we add the year. Formerly, it wasn't like that. So if you look at our numbers, our registration numbers on the top left of the certificate, you see the year in which you registered. So once you conceive the idea, as he said, you can start small so that at least when you cry, 60 cedis a year, dear, you can pay. And with GRA too, you can go and explain to them. They'll do the assessment and give you a small price depending on what you are doing. I think sometimes they are scared of taxes and all that. That is why they don't even want to register. But sometimes it's so sad. People even tender for job. Let's say they do their own soap and then they give them checks. And the checks, they won't give you check in your name. They give you check in the business. And meanwhile, you see, they won't register, but they have a name in mind. You'll be surprised. They have a name they've been calling themselves. And they have invoices You won't believe it. As he said, how can you use a name? It's unauthorized. So we don't even have to wait till something good come our way. You can register it and put it down. As and when the need arises, you use it. Gradually, a year, save small, 60 cedis there. You can renew. Go to GRA, talk to them. It's a small thing. Once in a while, I get something. They know what they will do for you. So we shouldn't be afraid. I think our problem is going to the right places.
It's a lack of education too, because sometimes going to these offices, it looks scary. But if the officers will come out and come and educate our people and help them understand, maybe they'll not be that scared.
You see, our office, I'm not bragging, we've done a lot of sensitization. We've been going to Joy, our dome, we've been roaming. And even in our office, we used to have this announcement in the Ghanaian languages. Like telling people, when you come, do this. We were saying it in Dagbani, in Ewe, in Ga, in Twi. We do all these things, but you see, sometimes too, we are very, very, very adamant. I mean, that is part of us, but we need to change. We need to change and try to do the right thing. I mean, if he do the right thing, I do, and you do, we'll be getting there. Yeah. So that we wouldn't have much problem, and also giving them, because once we make small announcement, if you come to our office, you will cry. Sometimes people come the following, because we said that we will publish their name, and it is not a joke. The Act 992, we have the commercial division, the bulletin division. So soon, we are going to publish companies in good standing. And it's a requirement that people always ask us. People write to us. If they want to do business, you will not know. They will write to us. Does the name exist?
Due diligence.
Yes, most lawyers do due diligence. And they want to know if you are in good standing. And we write it as it is. If you are not, we state it. It means you've not filed your returns. We write it, and sometimes it's difficult. You see them running, KPMG, going to auditors, and then want to do the right thing. So, because we'll be publishing soon, it will be live. You'll be there, and then we'll publish companies in good standing. And you see how people will feel, because your company is your image.
Yeah.
It's your brand.
It is. Yes. All right, so far, I can't be brave. And you say companies, they are all types. But all things really cool. So, company Ketua, start a Ketua, with very sole proprietorship. On the starting a Ketua, and I feel they call bit in the aqua, and more people's been documents will be here, or honum, or call honoma, in Kofu honum on Mebwao, now I fell from senior. In the other things really cool, no. So this can be called lawyer, how to be called office of the registrar of companies, or more office on bit me and Boamoy. So business get take it no I meant now say, may trend my case, may trend my case, say, O call no my yo, Kitsuano, what dear she movie. How about you starting? How about me the Kwaji loans? Wait me the advert. We do every day. I'll be more check. I'll bet me the Kwaji bank. Yes, I want you register sub company. Now you more check now. What me quiet bank be a more loan. Obi crop is all the it's a show business. What do you mention? Because minimum. What I say, it's and then you see and they say, what's that to business that? Hey, the park or register. The boy in your day 60 Ghana to this the whole year. And shut down this casa. Kakra na a business name for. Let's go for this short commercial break. We'll be right back.
Hello, people of God. Blessed Family Chorale, in collaboration with Bakma Kwa Nigeria, presents its third edition of Hymns and Prayer Service, happening on the 27th of August 2023 at ICGC Calvary Temple, Accra, Sphinx. Time is 5 p.m. Ministering are Symphonious Choir, Bakma Choir, and Harmonious Chorale. It promises to be a worship and prayer-filled experience in the presence of God. Entry is free. And remember, time is 5 p.m. prompt. See you there.
Back, and I know that by all means, you've learned something little, right? Asking how to start your own company. Please, help yourself and help the country as well. So my son, language interpreter, Ata Nyameche, asked Tilly a question. I think I'll repeat the question. That with the local languages, do you have some for sign interpreters? Sign people who need sign language?
For now, no, because it's audio. It's like announcements. So, But if people with impediment issue come, there is a way we are able to know, because they talk to you in sign. And because we don't have the specialists there, there are few people who do that, and looking at how our office run. But when they do the sign, we are able to. So what we do is that we give them pen and paper to write. So when they come, as soon as they start showing the sign, we know it. So we assist them. And then we also have special arrangements for people with disabilities. I had a program with them about 2 months ago, and the director for World Bank was there. They are giving them some funding, so we are helping them register a lot, and we don't want them to struggle. So we've told them what they should do, and then bring the document, our security, the boundary spanners, everybody is aware. So when they come, we do it. If there are not many, we do it for them the same day, and then they go away. If there are many, we take the document, go through. You see, as part of our form, we have the right to reject the forms if they don't fill it well. So we make sure that the forms is accurate and all that, then we can process it if it's a lot. But if it's 1, 2, or 3, then quickly we register it for them. If the system is okay, then they get it the same day.
But looking at, I don't know, I've not been to your office, I've been to your old office. I don't know if it's the same building.
It's the same building.
Yes, I've been seeing some TVs. Can the sign, can it be done there, like the TV?
So let me get it right. Does it mean the process, we should formalize it so that the TV will just be showing the sign? Because we cannot get each person to, we have cubicles. You are paying at the bank, you are picking tickets. So I don't know how the sign...
I'm looking at a situation where you're able to do it in different languages. So what you're doing in different languages, you do the sign, but this time on the TV. So that when someone enters and a person has that disability, the person could.
Yeah, it's a good idea. So maybe the process can be done in sign language.
Okay.
Yes, so I think it's a good idea. So like if you enter one, talk to the person on your right hand side, then so we can have that arrangement, and I'll discuss it, because we have a lot of things in place now that the Office of the Registrar of Companies is established. So we are a little semi-autonomous. So there are a lot of things that we can bring on board. So it's one of the things that we'll consider.
Wow,
yes.
That's interesting. So, Richard.
Boss.
Jai. So someone has registered the company. All the person is thinking about is, we'll be discussing tax later in the subsequent episode. But the person is afraid of paying tax. And someone will tell you, I've made a loss. I'm going to pay tax. Help the person out here.
Okay, now, the registration with the Office of the Registrar of Companies is not the only registration that business is required to operate. It's the first registration that gives you the legal identity, and which I will refer to as the primary registration. There are other secondary registration. So registration with SNIT is one, registration with GRA is another, registration with the district assembly in which you operate, because there's something we call the business operating permit, which is another. And now, in the era in which we find ourselves, where data is becoming a primary source of concern, the Data Protection Commission registration as well is becoming a mandatory registration. Now, if you register with GRA for payment of tax purposes, there are different categories of tax you pay to GRA. There is what we call VAT, which is value added tax, which ordinarily you are supposed to add to the service or goods you sell. Now, the only reason why you hear this feedback from entrepreneurs that I've run at a loss, but GRA is in my office, that I should pay tax, mostly results from lack of understanding on the pricing methods that they use. Now, GRA VAT collection is supposed to be a process where you add that tax to your final price. So for instance, if I produce this cap and it costs me maybe 100 cedis, I've decided to sell it and I want to make 20% profit, which means that my selling price should be 120 Ghana cedis. You are supposed to now add the tax to the 120. So your final price may be maybe 135 or 140. When you collect 135 or 140, you take the 20 cedis that you've collected to tax to the taxpayer. You still have your profit of 20 cedis. But what most businesses don't do is that they don't do that. So they produce for 120, want to make 20% profit. It becomes so 100, it becomes 120. And then they sell at 120. When you sell at 120, the taxpayer will assume that price of 120 includes VAT. So when the taxpayer demands of you to pay the VAT, if you are not careful, you'll be coming to like 90 Ghana cedis as your landed price ex VAT. So at that stage, you would have run at a loss because you already produced at what? 100 Ghana cedis. So that has been the challenge for most entrepreneurs and most businesses. So if you understand that obligation, that when we say VAT, when the taxman comes and say pay tax, is an additional cost or obligation you place on your final more or less cost plus profit. And then all you'll be doing is that you become a vehicle for the collection. So ask yourself, why are other businesses that are paying it not folding up? Because they understand how the pricing is done. So there is a lot we need to do in terms of education to help businesses understand how to do the pricing. And if you are able to do it well, paying tax should not be a problem. You should not be running away when the taxman is coming, because you know that, look, I've collected your money for you. This is my books. It cost me 100 Ghana cedis. I made 20 cedis profit. I added your VAT. It came to 145. My 120, your difference as your tax. You are still in business. You still have made profit from that venture.
Tini, your final words?
Oh, my final words are that as Ghanaians, we should try and utilize the laws we have. When we want to register, we should do what the law says. You see, the laws are there, but until something happens, you think, oh, there's no law, you can't do anything. So right from the scratch, let's do the right thing. Let's gain recognition. Let's register our businesses. Even when that's why I said, if you want to do business, you need strong shock absorbers. Even if things doesn't go well, with the tax people, you have to do a declaration, swear an oath that I didn't make sales the whole of 2022. Those laws are there. And then even if you have dependents, you can inform them if you are taking care of your father, mother. These are things that people can enjoy. But because we don't know, we should also try and be informed. We should be idealists. We should be informed. We should ask. We don't like asking sometimes. So we should try and do that and make sure that we don't fall foul of the law. Because there are penalties and sanctions equivalent to 2 years imprisonment. And then even every officer, there are some of the sanctions, every officer has to pay. We are not enforcing even some of the things. If we say we'll be doing, when our inspectors go round for inspection, would have jailed a lot of people. So we should make sure that we don't bring problems to ourselves. We should do the right thing. As far as we love our business, and we should organize our things well. We should seek information. We should do the right thing. We should be renewed. Not only Office of the Registrar of Companies, everywhere you go that you have to renew, we should do that. And then I think it will be well for us.
Richard?
It's difficult to anticipate or think that you can run business without compliance. So for me, a compliant business is all we all have to desire. And so therefore, understanding first what the regulatory requirements are is key. Look for service providers to explain them to you, to help you build your own checklist know when your licenses are expiring, know when you have to go and renew your permit, so that at every point in time, you are running a compliant business. Because whatever you are doing it for the long term. You need people to come on board in the future. And not being compliant leaves a track record of not too good run a business. So for me, I think that the laws are there. If you understand it and you build your own compliance culture, you can still be able to survive the times. Because we have big companies that are surviving the times today. And that gives a confidence to the consumer. Imagine consumers knowing that you don't pay tax. Or people know that you don't even pay SNIT for your employees. Or people come, Food and Drugs Board come to your yogurt production unit and have come to lock you up. That you are not following standard. Nobody's going to buy your yogurt tomorrow when they find them on the shelves. So for me, it's so key and it's so paramount that business owners must build that culture and comply with the laws.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Let's say you're about to start your business. Know the kind of business you're going to do. Know what laws govern those businesses. Know the institutions you're just supposed to register with. So it will be easier for you and for us all. And as I said, season 3 is about businesses. So next week, we are going to do doing business in Ghana, how and where to begin. This one is part of it. But we are going to go into details, looking at some examples of businesses and how they started and how they are running. So until next week, please stay safe, take care of yourself, and God bless us all.